Quite frankly, this is getting ridiculous. Radical activists, many of whom have no connection to the Wet'suwet'en people, are holding our country's economy hostage. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has been out of the country on a vanity project to win a vote at the UN, neglecting his duties here at home. Every single person in this country has the right to freedom of speech and the freedom to protest, regardless of how much we agree or disagree with their message. What they do not have a right to do is to shut down our railways and our ports. What they do not have a right to do is to block everyday, hardworking Canadians getting to and from work. And what they do not have a right to do is to block small businesses and farmers getting their goods to market. These blockades are illegal. So far, the Prime Minister has refused to come out and call them that himself. As Prime Minister, as I said, I would direct the RCMP to enforce the law to ensure that our railway system can operate. I mean, we have a situation. We have ideologically motivated protesters and activists who have, in many cases, have no connection at all with the First Nations community. And they are threatening the jobs of thousands. We're hearing from the union representing railway workers that up to 6,000 railway workers could face layoffs. Hey, these protesters, these activists, may have the luxury of spending days at a time on a blockade, but they need to check their privilege. They need to check their privilege and let people whose job depends on the railway system and small business, farmers, do their jobs. The Coastal GasLink project, which will help reduce greenhouse gas emissions around the world, has the support of elected band councils across the Wet'suwet'en First Nation. The First Nations community supports this project and the jobs it will create. Democracy and the rule of law are fundamental pillars of our country, and it's time they are enforced. If they are not, the Trudeau Liberal government will be setting a dangerous precedent that a small few can have a devastating impact on the lives of countless Canadians. Keep in mind, for many of these anti-energy activists, this is just a warm-up act. This is just a warm-up act for fights like TMX and Tech Frontier. And in their end, their goal is the shutdown of our entire energy sector. We can't let them run roughshod over the rule of law. The RCMP Act is clear. The Minister of Public Safety has the ultimate authority over Canada's national police force and has the power to direct the RCMP to enforce the law. I believe it's time for the law to be enforced. Law enforcement should enforce the law. We have court orders, we have court injunctions, they need to be respected. I'm calling for an end to the blockades. I think it should start with the protesters. Well, the risk of escalation is very real if nothing is done. And we've seen situations where these types of things lead to frustrations boiling over outside of the community. I think it's incredibly important to deal with this urgently so that it doesn't escalate. I'm worried about the escalation as it relates to the thousands of jobs being lost. CN and CP talking about layoffs this weekend. Those are thousands of people whose the situation's already escalated for them. And I believe that we have to live in a country where court orders are enforced. We're talking about an entire aspect of our economy shutting down because a few activists who are not doing this out of the best interests of First Nations people. If these activists and protesters truly care about the desires and the wills of the Wet'suwet'en First Nations and the 20 or so First Nations communities who support Coastal GasLink, they should support this project. If they claim to care about Indigenous issues, they're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong by blockading our railways and trying to shut down an important energy project that is supported by First Nations.
We have seen how these things in the past have become violent, where people have actually died, including in Oka and Ipperwash. You're okay with that?
Look, nobody wants to see violence. Nobody wants to see any lives endangered. I believe that early intervention by law enforcement, by enforcing the law, can help prevent that before these types of protests escalate to the point where that is a greater concern. It's not up to politicians to direct the RCMP or their law enforcement into how to enforce the law, but I think it's incredibly important that law enforcement enforces the law. I mean, maybe, it seems pretty simple to me. It seems pretty simple to me that if you're a law enforcement agency, you should enforce the law.